Today I have members of the ENH cross-country team here on set with me and first-year cross-country coach Mike Abrahamson. Glad to have you guys on the show today.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks for having us.
And so far this season, you have been on the road pretty much all season long. This past weekend, you were in the Wasper 5K. What happened in that event? And can you tell me, do you like being at home versus on the road? Are there any advantages?
We certainly like to be at home. We don't really have room as of yet to host a meet comfortably for an 8K for the men and a 6K for the women. The 5K is an open, mostly to alumni. Anybody's really welcome to run. So we don't compete as team in that event.
But you run in it.
But we run in it, we participate in it, and it's certainly nice to be here rather than traveling.
And for 5K, for those of our viewers who don't know, how much is 5K?
It's a 3.1 mile run. However, our course here at home is a very difficult 3.1. It's not like running 3 on a treadmill, is what a friend of mine once told me that ran it with me.
And how many runners do you return from last year? Obviously, you have Cameron back, and you also have Karen back from last year. I know this is your first year, but how many runners do you return from last year?
Total of 6, 3 on each team.
3 on each team?
Yeah.
And you took over for Coach John Iskra, excuse me. Isn't that correct?
That's right.
Okay. And you have some history here at Emory Henry as a coach and a player. You played on the basketball team, and you said graduated in 2003. Mm-hmm. And you also are currently a coach for the men's basketball team, and you're continuing that this year, correct?
Yes, I am. It's keeping me very busy between the two sports, especially now that they're overlapping. We started basketball practice last Wednesday, the 15th. And now with the sports overlapping, it's certainly keeping me busy. But I graduated in 03, and now I'm working with another 03 graduate, Paul Russo, who is our head coach now.
And you guys played on the team together, I guess, then? We
did. Played on the team together and spent a lot of time together.
That's got to be interesting to reconnect like that.
It's a lot of fun. He's one of my best friends, and it's a lot of fun working with him every day.
Well, that's good. I want to talk to your runners a little bit about their training regimen. I know that you mentioned 3.1 miles is different than 3.1 miles on a treadmill, so we'll talk to them about that and because they're the ones who are actually having to run the 3.1 miles. Guys, what does it feel like to run 3.1 miles, or even more sometimes? He mentioned an 8K for guys or 6K for the women's team.
6K for women's. It's actually not that different from a 5K, and especially when you're in a race, you definitely don't think about it. You're just focused on trying to finish and get the time and everything. But practices, I mean, they've been great. It's been nice to have a new coach and have a new perspective. But guys, I guess the 8K is a little different than the 6K.
The 8K is definitely different. It takes a lot more stamina. And when you get to that three mile mark, you still have 2 more to go, so you have to pace yourself. You can't go all out like you're running a 5K. An 8K, as practice is geared toward, is providing a lot more, you need a lot more energy for it. You need to be smart about it too.
So what do you all do to prepare for that? Do you, how many miles do you run in a given day or a given week?
It varies depending on the week. If we have a meet that week, we might taper back on the mileage, but like this week, we do not have a race this week, so we might go pretty hard with the miles. Longest day for the guys will probably be about maybe 10 or 11, and competitively, we'll probably run about 4 hard miles, which is competitive, like a race for us.
Right.
Yeah, even when we taper down, like what Cameron was saying, when we taper down, we're not slacking off on the run, and we do speed workouts in a sense. So we might be on a shorter run, but we're doing hill workouts, which takes a lot more effort and motivation to get up the hills and tough it out. So we're not necessarily slacking off, we're just working that much harder.
And what about weightlifting? Do you guys do any weightlifting, like certain muscle groups that you're trying to work that way, or any kind of band workouts or anything like that?
We have done some muscle workouts in the weight room this year, which actually really helps a lot because it's not just the legs that you're using to run with, you use your entire body. And so we did a lot of push-up training and crunches and things like that just to help balance out the whole entire body.
Well, going back to Coach A, this is your first year, as I've mentioned, but last year you lost a very important runner off the team, graduated this past year, Jonathan Seidel, and he had a lot of the marks for Emory Henry cross country, got a lot of accolades. How is it? I'm sure that, even though you weren't the coach, you know about him and were somewhat involved as being a coach, of an athletic team, somewhat involved with knowing him a little better than maybe an outsider would. Could you tell me a little bit about what kind of hit that would be to the team, and how you guys are going to recover from that?
Well, I certainly heard about Jonathan last year, which is a very good thing. However, it's really all you heard about. With Cameron being also on the basketball team, I got a little bit of insight, but I wouldn't have gotten it without knowing Cameron. And I didn't really meet Jonathan until this year. He came to our meet at Roanoke College. What I want to change is that you hear more about the team and more of us and all of us rather than just one individual. Losing a guy like that, a runner like that, it's part of the deal. You get 4 years, and that's part of it. So it is a big blow, but it's nothing I ever thought about because I never really knew him. And I'm just focused on the people that we have now. And as far as his accomplishments, honestly, I think that Cameron, as well as some of our other runners, can accomplish just as much or more by the time they leave here. And Cameron's certainly on a fast track to do so.
It's good to hear that you're recovering well from having such a great runner. And I'm sure that even if you didn't get to know him personally on a personal level, that you can appreciate what he's done for Emory Henry cross country to this point.
I certainly think that he helped draw some attention.
Right.
And what we're trying to do is just build on that and build on what Coach Iskra did, certainly. Again, I know Coach Iskra, but not that well. I'm not familiar with how he ran the program or anything like that. That was really none of my concern. Certainly never want to step on anybody's toes, but I just came in and focused on what we had now and what we could do from the point on where I took over. And we've never dwelled on losing Jonathan or what Coach Iskra did versus what I did or do. We just move forward. We just go with what we have and we do the best that we can day in, day out, and week in and week out.
And it is a team sport. It's totaled by team statistics. Real quick, would you talk about some of the goals that you guys have for this team this year, if you guys have one common goal that you've talked about?
Well, for this year, it's primarily we want to work as hard as we can, but work as smart as we can. That doesn't mean I want to, really run them into the ground every day. We've got to be smart about it. But as far as goals, we just want to start creeping up the ladder of the ODAC. We've been at the bottom. That is one thing that I did look back on in the past, and I want to start creeping up in the standings. And I think that this year, the group that we have has worked really hard. They've been a lot of fun to work with, and they've all gotten a lot better. 2 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago at the UVA Wise meet, 8 out of 10 runners ran a personal best time. So that it's encouraging. I certainly like to see them perform better than they've ever performed.
Right.
It makes them feel good, it makes them want to keep coming back for more. But long-term goals, we want to increase the size of the roster, provide more depth, which I think will also lead to better results.